In the stillness of that balmy spring night, Meadowville lay under the watchful gaze of a crescent moon, a serene tableau broken only by the distant hoot of an owl. Detective Jake Miller, a stoic figure in the face of life's relentless turbulence, found himself standing on his porch, the remnants of dinner long forgotten. A nagging sense of unease had taken root within him, a premonition that whispered of looming shadows and hidden danger. As the clock struck 10, the tranquility was shattered by a sudden commotion. The cacophony of a distant ice cream truck pierced the silence, its melody a discordant symphony to Jake's ears. Intrigued, he stepped outside, his eyes scanning the darkened streets, his senses sharp as a honed blade. A lone figure emerged from the shadows, a silhouette against the ethereal glow of the moon. The figure was clad in black, a phantom on the night's canvas. As the man approached, Jake felt an icy tremor run down his spine, a primal instinct warning him that this was no ordinary stranger. In the distance, two young children appeared, their laughter tinkling like bells in the still air. They seemed oblivious to the danger that lurked nearby, their innocence a stark contrast to the menace that enveloped them. The man in black reached out, snatching the children close, his features hidden beneath the brim of a wide-brimmed hat. Jake's heart pounded like a drum as he watched the figure disappear into the night, leaving behind only the echoes of their fleeting presence. His mind raced, a whirlwind of thoughts and emotions, each one more terrifying than the last. The children were gone, vanished into the darkness just as mysteriously as they had appeared. As the minutes ticked by, Jake felt a creeping dread settle over him like a shroud. The police were on their way, but he knew it was too late for the children. He could only stand there, a solitary sentinel in the night, his resolve to uncover the truth and bring justice to the victims burning brighter with each passing moment. The line between darkness and light had blurred that night, leaving Jake to wonder if he would ever find redemption for the sins of his past. As the sun began to rise over Meadowville, casting its first tentative rays upon the quiet town, Jake stood vigilant, his eyes fixed on the horizon, forever watchful against the encroaching shadows. The echoes of the night would linger, a haunting reminder that evil lurked in even the most idyllic of places. As the days blended into weeks, Detective Jake found himself ensnared in an unseen web of unease. The tranquil town of Meadowville seemed to hold its breath in anticipation, as if waiting for the next disturbance in the calm. It was then that whispers began to reverberate through the stillness, the distant echoes of a sinister presence lurking just beyond Jake's grasp. The phone, once a reliable lifeline to the world, now served as a conduit for the unknown. Each day brought new conversations, recorded in secret, played back like spectral voices from a past he could not recall. The calls were vague, cryptic, and always ended with a haunting silence that left Jake feeling unnerved and disoriented. The once confident detective now found himself questioning the very foundation of his reality. Was this merely a prank, an attempt to rattle him from his pursuit of justice? Or was it something far more sinister, a ghostly reminder of the darkness that had long haunted his soul? Jake's paranoia took root, creeping into every corner of his life like tendrils of ivy. He scrutinized every face, every sound, searching for answers that never seemed to materialize. The townsfolk, once friendly and welcoming, now viewed him with a mixture of pity and apprehension, sensing the turmoil within. As the shadows from his past closed in around him, Jake found solace in the unwavering support of Clara Bellows. Her keen intuition and gentle wisdom provided a beacon of hope amidst the chaos, offering him guidance through the storm that threatened to engulf him. Yet even her soothing words could not quell the maelstrom within his mind. Jake's struggle with anxiety and paranoia was a silent battle, one fought in the stillness of the night and the quiet corners of his thoughts. The line between obsession and determination grew increasingly blurred, as he clung to the hope that the truth lay hidden within the twisted tapestry of secrets that surrounded him. The phone calls continued, their spectral whispers echoing like the cries of lost souls in the night. Jake's resolve hardened, his thirst for truth driving him ever deeper into the darkness that shrouded Meadowville. For he knew that within that darkness lay the answers to the questions that haunted him, and he would not rest until he had uncovered the shadows from his past. The town continued its slow dance with the sun, the days growing shorter as autumn's chill took hold. The echoes of the night grew louder, the whispers more insistent, but Jake pressed on, guided by a determination that burned like an eternal flame within his soul. For he knew that within those shadows, there was a truth waiting to be revealed, and he would not rest until it had been brought to light. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting elongated shadows that danced across the tranquil streets of Meadowville, a sense of unease settled over Detective Jake. A chilling wind carried whispers of the unknown, weaving through the skeletal branches of ancient oaks and the hushed conversations of the townsfolk. The night air seemed to crackle with anticipation as Jake prepared for the meeting that would either offer solace or plunge him further into darkness. The house, an aging Victorian manor shrouded in ivy, loomed over Jake like a sentinel standing guard against the encroaching night. The cobblestone path leading to its doorstep was silent and still, as if the very earth itself held its breath in quiet reverence. As he stepped through the threshold, the weight of the unknown bore down upon him like the burden of 1,000 secrets, each one threatening to shatter the fragile balance that held him together. The room where Jake awaited his mysterious visitor was suffused with an eerie pallor, as if the shadows had grown heavy and dense with the promise of untold revelations. The scent of old books and musty tapestries filled the air, mingling with the metallic tang that clung to Jake's senses like a shadow. His heart pounded in his chest like a drum, each beat echoing through the silence like a distant tolling bell. As the hours ticked by, Jake found himself on the precipice of madness, teetering between hope and despair as he waited for the phantom that haunted his dreams to make its presence known. The air grew thicker still, swirling with the ghostly echoes of forgotten memories, whispering secrets long buried in the recesses of his soul. Time seemed to slow, stretching into an eternity as Jake clung to the last vestiges of his sanity, desperate for the truth that he knew lay hidden within those shadows. Yet, when the night had grown black and the stars had been extinguished by the encroaching dawn, the mystery caller remained conspicuously absent. In that moment, as the first light of morning crept over the horizon, Jake felt a cold, icy hand clutch at his heart. The air around him seemed to shimmer with an unnatural intensity, as if the very fabric of reality had been torn asunder by the power of his emotions. Bewildered and shaken, Jake left the manor, his mind reeling from the events that had transpired within its haunted walls. The sun peeked over the horizon like a watchful eye, casting its golden light across the town as if to bear witness to the darkness that had been unleashed upon it. As he trudged through the streets of Meadowville, the echoes of the night seemed to recede, replaced by the warmth and familiarity of the dawn. But the peace was fleeting, a mere illusion that shattered as the truth began to take shape within Jake's fractured mind. The meeting had been a test, a rite of passage into the depths of his own darkness. And in that moment, with the sun casting its golden light across the streets of Meadowville, Jake made a vow. He would uncover the truth behind the phone calls, no matter the cost. The line between control and obsession blurred like never before, as Jake plunged headfirst into the abyss in search of redemption. The town of Meadowville remained ever vigilant against the encroaching shadows, but the darkness within would continue to haunt those who dared venture into the unknown. For the echoes of the night live on, forever whispering secrets long buried and forgotten. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across Meadowville, a palpable sense of unease pervaded the air. Detective Jake, a man who had dedicated his life to upholding justice, walked through the quiet streets, his thoughts a whirlwind of confusion and dread. The chilling echoes of a sinister caller still lingered in his ears, haunting him with their cryptic messages. In Clarabello's quaint cottage, tucked away amongst the rolling hills, the town matriarch sat poring over stacks of yellowed newspaper clippings and worn police reports. Her keen intuition and unwavering compassion had drawn her into Jake's quest for truth, offering him solace in his darkest hour. The connection between Jake's past and the recent disappearance of two young twins from a neighboring town was becoming increasingly apparent. As they pieced together a tangled web of secrets, the darkness that had long been buried within Meadowville began to surface, revealing truths that were more complex than either of them could have imagined. A sense of urgency crept over Jake as he pored over maps, photographs, and documents strewn across his desk. The weight of a town's desperation seemed to rest heavily upon his shoulders, and yet, within him, something stirred, a burning desire for justice that refused to be extinguished. In the stillness of Clara's study, their minds melded as they sifted through clues, deciphering patterns long hidden in the recesses of memory. A sense of shared determination coursed through them like a current, electrifying the room and fueling their pursuit of the truth. As the hours passed, their efforts began to bear fruit. The pieces of the puzzle began to fall into place, revealing a labyrinthine web of secrets that reached far beyond the borders of Meadowville. And as they unraveled this tangled tapestry, the figure at the center remained elusive, a phantom who seemed to vanish as mysteriously as he appeared. In the small hours of the morning, Jake's eyes flickered over one final piece of evidence, a photograph that seemed to hold the key to unlocking the mystery. As he stared into the faces of two young children, his heart raced with fear and anticipation. For the truth was closer than ever before, and as he stood on the precipice of revelation, Jake felt a shiver run down his spine. The echoes of the night were growing louder, and the darkness within Meadowville threatened to consume them all. The tension in the air was palpable as Jake and Clara continued their search for answers in the cold light of dawn. They knew that the truth was there, just beyond their grasp, a truth that would change not only their lives, but also the lives of everyone in Meadowville. And so they pressed on, driven by a relentless determination to bring the darkness to light and banish the echoes of the night once and for all. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows that danced across the tranquil landscape of Meadowville, a sense of foreboding permeated the air. The once quaint town now seemed ominous, its picturesque facade a hollow reflection of a past long since shattered. Detective Jake, a solitary figure standing atop the hill that overlooked his home, stared down into the darkness below with a mixture of dread and resolve. For months, he had been haunted by an enigmatic presence, a sinister whisper in the stillness of the night. Now, on this fateful evening, he would confront the unseen adversary that had manipulated his life from the shadows. The wind howled, carrying with it the echoes of Jake's past, as he descended the hill towards his house. He could feel the weight of the world pressing down upon him, threatening to crush him beneath its oppressive burden. Yet, he pressed on, driven by an unyielding determination to uncover the truth that lay hidden within the darkness. As Jake crossed the threshold of his home, a chill ran through him like ice water. The room was deathly silent, save for the distant tolling of a clock, its somber melody a reminder of time's inexorable march forward. In the dim light cast by a single, flickering candle, he could make out the silhouette of an unfamiliar figure seated at his kitchen table. A sense of unease settled over Jake as he approached the stranger, the air between them thick with tension. As he drew closer, the figure rose to its feet, the flickering candlelight revealing a face both familiar and terrifyingly foreign. The features were twisted and contorted, as though the very essence of malevolence had been etched into the flesh. With a scream that seemed to tear the night apart, Jake lunged at the figure, his fists clenched in a desperate attempt to banish the darkness that threatened to consume him whole. Yet, the creature was elusive, slipping through his grasping fingers like smoke in the wind. The room spun around him, the walls closing in. As Jake found himself pinned to the floor, the air forced from his lungs in a strangled gasp. The figure loomed above him, its malevolent gaze boring into the depths of his soul, leaving him trembling with fear and confusion. As the creature spoke, its voice was like the sound of shattering glass, piercing through the haze that clouded Jake's mind. "You have sought the truth for far too long," it intoned, each word a dagger plunged into his heart. "But now, you must confront the reality of who you truly are." In that moment, as the darkness closed in around him, Jake realized the terrible truth. He was not the man he thought he was. The line between control and obsession had blurred, leaving him questioning the true nature of freedom. As the world spun out of focus, he could only cling to one thought, a desperate prayer for redemption that seemed lost in the void. The screen faded to black, the silence echoing with the lingering whispers of Jake's anguished cries. The town of Meadowville continued to turn its gaze towards the horizon, ever vigilant against the encroaching shadows, but the darkness within would never truly be banished. For the echoes of the night live on, forever haunting those who dare to venture into the unknown. The sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows over the quiet streets of Meadowville as night descended upon this idyllic town. Detective Jake, once a beacon of hope and unyielding justice, now stood at the precipice of darkness, his eyes fixed on the endless expanse before him. The chilling echoes of the past still lingered in the air, a haunting reminder of the confrontation that had shattered Jake's world. His resilience, honed through years of upholding justice, now faltered as he grappled with the unsettling revelations that lay before him. A once familiar town had become a labyrinth of secrets and lies, its warm facade now tarnished by the darkness within. Jake's pursuit for truth had led him on a perilous journey, forcing him to confront his own demons and question everything he thought he knew about himself and the world around him. With each step forward, Jake felt as though he was sinking deeper into an abyss of uncertainty, his grip on reality slipping with every revelation. The echoes of that fateful night continued to resonate through the quiet streets, a haunting reminder of the mystery that had forever changed him. As days turned into weeks, and weeks into months, Jake persevered in his search for answers, his determination unwavering despite the lingering fear that gripped him at every turn. The town's matriarch, Clara Bellows, remained by his side, her unyielding compassion and intuition guiding him through the tangled web of deception. Yet, as the months passed, it became evident that some mysteries may never be truly solved. Jake was left with only fragments of the truth, a jigsaw puzzle in which the final piece had forever eluded him. The enigmatic phantom behind the phone calls remained hidden, a shadowy figure lurking just beyond his grasp. In the end, Jake found himself standing at the edge of that abyss, gazing into the darkness below. The echoes of the night, once a chilling reminder of his past struggles, had now taken on a different meaning. They served as a constant reminder of the fragility of truth and the tenuous line between control and obsession. As Jake looked out over the tranquil town of Meadowville, he realized that the darkness within would never truly be banished. The echoes of the night lived on, forever haunting those who dared to venture into the unknown. Yet, despite the lingering fear and uncertainty, there was a sense of resolve in Jake's weary eyes. For while some mysteries may never be truly solved, the pursuit of truth would continue to drive him forward. The town of Meadowville might continue to turn its gaze towards the horizon, ever vigilant against the encroaching shadows, but the darkness within would always remain. And as long as there were echoes of the night, Jake knew that he would never truly be free. As the camera panned across the peaceful streets of Meadowville, the voiceover narrator's somber words resonated through the silence. Some mysteries may never be solved, leaving us all forever haunted by the echoes of the night. The screen slowly faded to black, and the haunting melody of a lone violin filled the room, its mournful notes lingering long after the documentary had